YouTube. So today we're back with another reboot video. I have actually filmed this one once before, but I was editing it and realizing I don't like the way I expressed myself, and I felt like I didn't express myself clearly enough. So I'm refilming this. Today we're gonna talk about Diaspro, Sky and Bloom, their dynamic in the reboot and in the original, and how it changes. And whether or not the reboot does a better job than the original, or the other way around. So the reboot does actually take a completely different approach to Diaspro, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But first off, we need to address the elephant in the room, which is Diaspro's looks in the reboot. Now, lots of people have been talking about this. I haven't watched too many reboot reactions, but I've seen plenty of people talk about Diaspro's looks and how she looks awful. And I just wanted to point out that I think that Diaspro looking awful is a deliberate part on the creators of the show. I don't think that this is a design fail in a sense that she looks awful and they meant her to look good. I think she deliberately looks ridiculous in the reboot, and I think the reason why she looks ridiculous and they've made her look ridiculous on purpose is that it's harder for you to feel sorry for her if she looks ridiculous. Like, as shallow and as terrible as that may seem, it's harder to make people dislike really pretty characters, and Diaspro in the original is a really beautiful character. So in order for you to dislike her, the series makes her progressively worse and worse and worse. Like, you could argue in the beginning that Diaspro actually did nothing wrong in season 1 of Winx Club. The only sort of thing she does badly is the way she treats Bloom when they first met, and she kind of obviously treats her as a peasant and clearly acts the way that she thinks that she is better than Bloom. Like, she does give off the vibes of a spoiled princessy brat, but other than that, she's not really at fault for Sky not communicating clearly with her or Bloom. The reboot does approach the Sky Bloom Diaspro dynamic very differently, and to me there is a major change, which is that Diaspro now studies at Althea. And I saw this and I was like, wow, okay, good. They're gonna do away with the unnecessary drama. Because the Sky is Brandon and Brandon is Sky storyline doesn't really exist in the reboot. There is really no need for these secrets between Sky and Bloom and Diaspro either. And I was like, okay, they're gonna do away with that. They're gonna do something different. They're not gonna have this unnecessary drama. They're not gonna have this drama, they're just gonna have Sky break up with Diaspro and be with Bloom, presumably, because Bloom is the main character and Sky is normally her love interest. And I was like, okay, this could be better, this could be less messy, this could be communicative. And Winx Club does have some good dating lessons in the reboot, such as the episode where Stella goes on an online date with a weird guy to a weird place, and that is one of the only episodes that really has a moral at the end. And I actually really like that episode. I would like to have a whole separate video about that episode, so if you want to see that, let me know in the comments or leave this video a like. And so there are some good messages being told in the reboot, so I was like, okay, they're gonna handle this better. And they handled it worse. Like, in my opinion, they sort of handled it worse. And I'm gonna explain what I mean. In the original, lots of people are mad at Sky. When it comes to Sky, the main reason lots of people don't like him is that he doesn't communicate clearly. Again, you could argue that in season 1, Diaspro really does nothing awful. Bloom is kind of the worst person because she tries to kill her, and I don't think she ever even apologizes. But people also often point to Sky, that Sky is the problem because Sky doesn't talk to Diaspro or Bloom clearly. But in Sky's defense, and I'm not the first or the only person to say this, Sky does consider this. He is already in the progress of trying to figure things out, and him and Bloom aren't really officially dating. They're like kind of dating, but they haven't really figured things out. And it's really hard to draw that line in a cartoon series, because it's not like they often like show the characters being very, very intimate. But it does feel like they're sort of tiptoeing around that, and Sky does have the added layer of actually being a prince and not being able to tell Bloom about it. Spoilers, by the way. There are reasons to go and look at Sky and be like, well, it's not really super his fault either. He is trying to think of a way to figure it out and be with Bloom and tell Bloom. He just doesn't have the chance to do so yet. Like, he is actively worried about the situation, and he does realize that it needs to be remedied. So it's not like Sky is deliberately being an awful person in the original. Now, in the reboot, like, to me, Diaspro being at Althea changes things drastically. Because in the original, Diaspro is somewhere far away. We don't know, is she homeschooled? We don't know what her relationship with the Sky is actually like. Like, Diaspro is clearly very invested in the idea of being with Sky. She has this whole hologram thing, and she is clearly happy with her life, the idea of her life. But she almost gives off Apple White vibes from Ever After High. Like, she just has this path carved out for her, and she seems happy with it, and Sky isn't so happy with it, and maybe Sky would like to choose his own partner, especially now that he has met Bloom. But we don't really know how close they are. We don't know how often they interact. Like, Sky does have this photo of Diaspro, but it's almost like maybe Sky kind of forgot that she existed. Because, not really, but like, they're not together every day. So he can put her to the back of her mind. And maybe he didn't instantly consider the implications when he started sort of flirting with Bloom. In the reboot, Diaspro is there all the time, so we can't give Sky that benefit of the doubt that, or maybe he just sort of like doesn't think of Diaspro every day. He has to think of Diaspro every day. Diaspro makes very certain that Sky thinks of her every day. And to me, this creates a whole new dynamic for Bloom as well. Bloom has all the information from the start. So Bloom's decisions are completely on her. Bloom meets Diaspro one day after she met Sky. So Bloom meets Sky, and pretty much right away she has this information that Diaspro is there, that Sky has a girlfriend. And Bloom actually, to her benefit, does seem to want to do the right thing. She does realize that she shouldn't pursue a guy who has a girlfriend. And I actually really welcome these scenes where Bloom is like, I think on the backstage of the rock and roll episode, she's like, I have to stop doing this. Sky has someone.
I have to stop doing this. Sky and Diaspro are together.
And I really like that Bloom is also like clear with her friends that Sky has someone, that she's not planning to pursue Sky. However, and this was what really like bothered me in the reboot, Sky has a girlfriend. It doesn't matter if Diaspro is a terrible person or not. Sky has a girlfriend. Everyone's aware of the fact that Sky has a girlfriend. He has made the choice, seemingly, to be with her. And now Bloom is trying to cut off her feelings. And her friends are like, no, but what do you mean you would get in the way?
We've been texting. Sometimes. Every night. But no boyfriend-girlfriend talk. He and Diaspro made up. I don't want to get in the way.
Get in the way? How?
Like, Stella, you know what she means. And I was so bothered by this exchange in the reboot that her friends almost seem to encourage her to still pursue a guy that isn't available. And I understand that it isn't done super clearly. They're not telling Bloom to go and cheat, but still, the implication, and I understand that Bloom is the main character, but still, the implication of telling your friend, you should still pursue this person. I know that that happens in real life, but I don't think that's a good message to have in children's media. And even if the Winx Club reboot is sort of both for the old fans and new fans, it is still for children as well. So we have to consider the implications of what kind of messages this sends to children, for instance. And I said that I like that Bloom is sort of not trying to go there, and they do, but at the same time, Bloom just met this guy. She like, I'm sorry, like I don't fall in love that often, but I feel like she can't have that profound of feelings for him. And yet she sort of swings back and forth, and she's like, I have to stop doing this, and then she still, at the end of the same episode, still has a sort of flirty moment with Sky, and she does seem to put herself boundaries and say that, hey, I have to stop doing this, and then she still kind of keeps flirting with Sky, and they don't really so far address things, they don't communicate. It's very clear that one of them is taken. But unlike Stella and Brandon, who do end up communicating, again, I want to talk about that episode, Bloom and Sky, they don't talk about these things. And I do understand what they're doing. They're just like, well, if we don't talk about it, it's not there. But that's a terrible way to handle it. They both clearly have feelings, and they're not handling it well at all. They're just letting it simmer. They're sort of still kind of flirting, and Diaspro can tell that they're flirting. Diaspro is clearly intimidated by Bloom. Like, Diaspro is trying to show her the ring and be like, this is my guy, and like, is this nice behavior? Not really, but at the same time, she is correct. Bloom does have feelings for Sky, clearly. So I do think that they made it worse in that they gave the characters every opportunity to communicate clearly. They gave the characters no reason to have these big misunderstandings or secrets, and they still can't clear the air. They are doing this will they, won't they. Bloom is like, I have feelings for him, but I must stop myself, and then keeps flirting. And I just don't like that dynamic in a children's show. I liked it better when they at least had a reason to have these secrets and there was like a legitimate good reason for the relationship to be messy and complicated, but now it's just messy for the sake of messiness. And this brings me back to Diaspro's design. I think the reason Diaspro's design is so bad is that you would feel less conflicted about Bloom still kind of pursuing Sky and still kind of flirting. Because if Diaspro was really pretty, and if Diaspro also as a character was a really nice person, you would feel bad for Diaspro, right? And maybe you still do, but in reality, it shouldn't matter whether Diaspro is pretty or whether Diaspro is a good person. Diaspro is the person Sky is currently dating, and therefore Sky shouldn't be looking at other girls and kind of flirting. Sky can break up with her. If Sky really doesn't like her, the right thing to do in Sky's case is still to break up with her. Or to tell Bloom, hey, I can't break up with her because this is a political marriage and I have to marry her for political reasons. But we don't really see in the reboot whether their marriage is so arranged by their parents or whether their marriage has political reasons. So we don't know, like, it feels like a normal relationship, kind of. They go out for boba and things, and like they feel like boyfriend, girlfriend. Yes, Diaspro feels obnoxious, but we don't know whether or not Sky has a choice in the relationship. I feel like even though they have made Diaspro kind of obnoxious, and they have tried really hard to make her design unappealing, Diaspro still isn't to blame for anything other than treating Bloom kind of meanly and badly like she does in the original as well. I feel like Bloom, Sky and Diaspro really need to communicate clearly, and the longer this goes on in the reboot, because we only have 13 episodes, the less I'm going to like this. The longer they are planning to drag this out, the less okay it becomes. especially for a children's series. I know that in series often the main couple is being dragged out for ridiculous reasons, but I don't in general like that, and I feel like also in a children's media, if you're gonna have really good messages, you are gonna have to think about the messages of flirting with someone else's boyfriend and being sort of back and forth. Again, Bloom only knows Sky for so little when she finds out that she has a girlfriend, so can her feelings really be that in-depth? Like, yes, we know that she's the main character and Sky is the main love interest, but putting that aside, like looking at her as if she were a real person, she should not have that deep feelings for him that she cannot stop this flirting. They have not been friends for like years and years and years. So these are my thoughts on Sky, Bloom and Diaspro in the reboot and kind of in the original as well. Obviously it's hard to compare because one has several seasons of material and the other just has the reboot. So I tried to compare season 1 and the reboot. So let me know what are your thoughts regarding Diaspro, Sky, Bloom and this entire dynamic. And if you have enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave it a like. Let me know in the comments how you feel and check out some of my other videos. I still have reboot videos coming up, but other kinds of Winx videos as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!